If you're looking to own Arizona real estate or move within our beautiful state, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Iconic Estates, a podcast presented by Russ Lyon, Sotheby's International Realty, for those who want to live in luxury in the pristine desert. I'm your host, Renee Dee, and I look forward to being with you each month on the show. On the pod today, I've got Mark Candelaria, founder of Candelaria Design, who will discuss with us what it takes to build and renovate an iconic home in Arizona. David Friedman, Desert Mountain and Carefree Office Manager for Russ Lyon, Sotheby's International Realty, shares his expert insights on North Scottsdale, its prestigious private communities, and iconic golf courses. And then we talk with Jennifer Schumacher, Global Real Estate Advisor, who talks about why building relationships is at the core of her business and how she loves to help her clients find their dream home and their dream location. So let's get started. Well, I'm excited to be here with my dear friend, Mark Candelaria. This is not our first podcast.
No, we've done pod swaps.
We've done pod swaps. We've done so much. So this podcast is probably going to appear on your podcast here pretty soon,
I hope
too.
so, yeah.
So I always love talking to you about architecture and design, and certainly you're an incredible resource when it comes to European travel as well. But
yes.
Today, our topic is real estate.
Okay.
And so one of the things I know about a lot of the Mark Candelaria designs is that your clients that live in homes you've designed, when they move, they want to move into another Mark Candelaria house. So how did all that happen?
So I've got actually a good story for you. I had one time in my career where 4 clients all moved and they virtually just swapped houses.
Oh, wow.
Not planned, just happened purely by chance. One bought this one, that one bought that one, this one bought that one, and that one bought that one. Isn't that crazy?
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that a lot of real estate advisors will like to put your name in listings. So there's been a lot of talk. We've talked to a couple of the different advisors about working with a marquee architect. Mm-hmm. And it's really become an asset to a home when you can put a big name like yours on the listing. And so we've started to see that a lot. How many homes have you designed? Let's just say Paradise Valley, for example, or do you want to say Valley of the Sun?
Well, I know overall I've designed close to 2,500 homes. But that includes places like Casablanca, where I did about 120. Yeah. So I got a bunch done in one spot.
Yeah.
Mountain Shadows, we did some condos. Enchantment, we did some. So I picked up a lot of the quick numbers that way. But overall, it's been about 2,500 homes over 43 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, So that means there are a lot of Candelaria designs out there.
I have a couple streets in Paradise Valley where I have 9 houses in a row.
Oh my gosh, for the fun of it. What streets are those?
Well, one's a Roadrunner.
Okay, yeah.
And then one is Caballo in kind of North Paradise Valley.
Yep.
So,
and then I think you've got some of the other signature streets too.
Exeter, I've got quite a few
Exeter
on Exeter.
And Nani Valley.
Yeah, Nani Valley, I've got like 6 or 7 in a row on that street.
Wow, that's so fun. I mean, do you just enjoy sometimes driving around and just seeing all these houses?
I tell people, how lucky am I as an architect? I get to do what you just said, drive around, look at my work that I did 20, 30, 40 years ago. I always tell my staff, have gratitude for that very reason. I mean, imagine if you were a tax accountant. Oh my God, that was the best tax return I ever did. You got to check that out.
Yeah.
Or the dentist. They're like, you should see the teeth, like the braces I did on that kid.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky. I get to look at stuff that I did in my 20s, and I drive by and I go, God, I did that house when I was 25 years old. That's pretty cool.
It's so cool. The other thing is, it's so cool how you have shaped the character of the community. When you think about 2,500 homes, that is a serious presence in the community of architecture. And I know your standards are very, very high. So what does it mean to you to be the guy literally designing some of our communities?
I had a conversation about this morning with somebody, and I really don't think about that. I'm so focused on the house that I'm working on at that moment, or the problem I'm trying to solve at that very moment, that I just don't think of it in that way. I mean, I'm honored to hear you say that, and I know I've been around a long time and produced a lot of houses, but I'm really focused on what's at hand at that moment.
Yep. Well, I think that speaks a lot to your relationships
whatever
with your
happens
clients.
in the 50, 60 years that I get to do this, it'll add up. That'll be the story then. But right now I got to work on what I got to work on today.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great way to think. Well, I often think that it'd be really fun to do like a Candelaria bus tour. Like I would love to just hop in or limo tour or whatever we would do and drive around and take a look at all these homes. So when you think about designing a home, certainly everybody who designs a home and builds a home. There's a lot of people that say we're going to live here forever, and then
Right.
the next thing you know is they're moving again.
Right.
So I think what's very common with a lot of your clients is that they move a lot. But what do you hope to add to a house to sort of aid in, what's going to happen with that next owner, or when it comes time to sell that house?
It's funny because we do talk about that a lot. We always talk about the resale. Like, if you do this crazy room, what's the resale on that? So I guess what I've come to find out with this particular echelon of client, it doesn't matter that much. I mean, do what you want to do for you, whether you're living there for 2 years or 20 years. The next guy's going to come around and they're going to do whatever the heck they want to do anyway. I've seen people tear down half a house just to put in a golf simulator room, because that's what they want.
Yeah. And
so, I tell people just do, unless it's something really idiotic, I try to advise them not to do that because no one's ever going to buy this. But while you're living there, do what you want to do for you.
Right.
And, Isabel and I've noticed that just with our little house, it's like we've splurged on certain things, as you know, and we may never get the resale of it, but you know what? We're going to get the enjoyment from that over the course of time that we're living there. And every day it brings us so much joy and fulfillment. What's the price of that?
Right. What is the price of that?
What is the price of that?
Yeah.
So
I think, for people who enjoy design, I think it's kind of fun for them to be able to walk through their house every day and simply notice the details. And I hope that they do. So I've had the privilege of going through many of your homes, and we've done a lot of videos together.
Thank
we've done
you,
a lot of
by the
stories together. And you are a detail guy. Like, where's the inspiration for the details that you put in your homes?
It comes from a whole myriad of places, travel being probably number one. I think that is the big refill of the creative tank. I'm dumping ideas and thoughts all the time, and I have to go absorb something somewhere, So my trips really help bring new ideas and new thoughts to things that then I love to implement, whether it's modern or traditional, doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just an interpretation. I equate so much of architecture to cooking, which I love to do, and music, which I love to do.
Yeah.
They're so similar. We have a set of recipes, we have a set of ingredients, we have a set of notes, and you can compose endless songs from 8 notes,
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. You find these little details, you go, ooh, I could work that in right here. And it's just, it never ends. If someone asked me the other day, like, don't you run out of ideas? I said, are you kidding me? It's endless. It's like, or do you ever have writer's block?
Yeah.
Never. That's never happened.
That's really cool. What's funny, kind of similar here at the magazine, people sometimes say, gosh, how do you come up with all that content?
Right.
And part of what I say is, I'm like,
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, never had a problem with that. Never. In fact, what we have is never enough pages to be able to express all that content that we want to do. So what about, you do not have a signature style. You have a style that's very reflective of what your client is looking for.
Exactly.
So I've seen everything from Mediterranean to French villas to
very
modern farmhouse, very modern homes. You've got that whole range. So speaking of music, you play all genres. But I feel like you are particularly talented in drawing these really wonderful old world houses, Mediterranean houses, even the Mediterranean, which was a phrase that you came up with and I learned from you. But some of these details, I look at them as old world details, things that have been done for centuries.
They're timeless. They're proven.
They're so timeless. How is it to find people to actually build out some of these things? You can draw it, but then you got to build it.
Well, that's becoming a bigger and bigger problem, unfortunately. And that's something I'm very passionate about because I see a lot of the trades aging out. And these guys that can do carved moldings and beautiful details, they're passing some of it along, but our school system's doing nothing to regenerate these people and these talents. And they're super talented and they make amazing amount of money. And so I would love to get more programs in the schools to teach people framing and carpentry and plaster. It's endless. And I look at my subcontractors that own some of these businesses. They got jets. They've got 4 cars. They own restaurants.
I know.
They're wealthy, and they're an electrician or a plumber or whatever.
Right.
They're great jobs, but they don't teach that to the kids. And we're running out of great craftsmen. And I think hence that's why a lot of the buildings are looking like drywall boxes, where you're going to find the people that can do this stuff.
Right. It's all about artisans. I
Yeah.
feel like we got to bring some people over from Europe to just kind of keep things going or get people to pass this on, because
be
these
passed on.
details are very precious to architecture.
Yeah.
So how do you think architecture, kind of thinking about those details and how a house expresses itself, how do you think about curb appeal when it comes to that? Because obviously people who are buying homes, that first judgment is when they pull up to the house, like, how does
Right.
it look? How does the neighborhood look? How important is curb appeal to you, and how do you think about that?
I think about it quite a bit. I mean, we do quite a few spec homes for builders, and obviously their whole game is to sell that house as quickly as possible. And so curb appeal is super important. We spend a lot of time analyzing the approach to the house, like which way are you going to drive and see the house? Are you going to see all the garage doors, or let's hide the garage doors, or let's create, and it's almost creating a subconscious, pleasurable experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't know why you like it,
Right.
but you go, oh my gosh, I love this. It creates some type of romantic notion that I'm in love with this house. You know what I'm saying? Whether
Yeah.
it's modern or traditional, it doesn't matter. But it's easier to accomplish, I think, with a traditional home, and harder to accomplish with a modern home. Just because a modern home is very stark and very cold sometimes, and very sharp, sharp edges, where a traditional home is comfy and cozy and let's go build a fire and make some popcorn.
Right, yeah.
How do you get that feeling in a modern house? That's the difference in good modern architecture and not so good modern architecture.
Yep, I totally agree with that. And the curb appeal thing is super important for the people who live there, because they want to pull up to their house every day and love it. And then if you ever have to sell it. So we had your good friend Jeff Berghoff on
Yes.
this podcast. And so we were talking to him about curb appeal, because I feel like Exeter is like his street.
Well, as you were asking me
yeah.
that question, he was who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So.
And so the two of you work together a lot to establish curb appeal. So what do you think is the relationship between the landscape and the architecture? How do those two work together?
They work together very importantly. I mean, I'm probably one of the few architects that lets Jeff Berghoff come into the kitchen and give me input on the kitchen design. And I'm outside giving him input on the pool design. We merge because he's so talented that we have no boundaries. We go into each other's zone and lane, and it's like writing music together. And we have great respect for each other, so no one's feelings get hurt. It's just ideas, zing, 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 and then we go, we love it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I love working with him. It's so much fun.
He's such a creative mind, which
Yeah,
is
he's
so
great.
wonderful. Absolutely so wonderful. And so I just really think about, how important the landscape is in the front of the house. And then
And the
once
lighting.
And lighting.
Yeah, because so many people
Yeah.
come at cocktail hour to your house.
Right.
They don't come at 2 p.m. Maybe the Amazon guy gets a great experience. I don't know.
Right.
But when I have people over, is there music playing? Is the sound of water happening? Is there lighting when they leave? And everything sets this tone and this subconscious experience coming and going that you want people to have.
Right.
And you want it to be pleasurable.
And I feel like a lot of times you don't necessarily, just like you said before, it's not something that you don't know what it is.
Right.
You just know that you're in love with the house. You notice it if it's not there.
Right.
Like something's missing
Something's
here.
missing.
Yeah. But when it's all perfectly dialed in, you just know that you love the house and you don't necessarily know why.
And that's what sometimes is fun about remodels, is like they just missed the mark in a few areas. So let's just tweak a couple of these things and all of a sudden it's a great house.
Yeah, that was going to be exactly my next question. So you do a lot more remodels than people know. So
Yeah.
remodeling is a big thing for you.
It's 2/3 of our business.
And so is it mostly in Paradise Valley, North Scottsdale? Is it these homes that have been around for a long time?
Yeah. And in fact, just driving here from my office, I see my future 401k plan and all the remodels that are going to be happening. There's just so much bad stuff sitting on great lots in this city, because there was just a lot of stuff that was built in the 70s or 60s, 70s, and 80s that were just thrown up to, occupy space. They really didn't give any design time, but they're sitting on enormous, amazing lots. And so you see this transformation really happening, like between Shea and Thunderbird now. This whole zone is just going crazy.
So much opportunity in
So
there.
much opportunity. So I look at Paradise Valley and some of this North Scottsdale kind of like Bitcoin. There's only so much of it.
Right.
And that's it. And I see people struggling to find great lots, and they are so hard to find.
Yeah.
It's either a tear down or a lot that is so complicated that, you're going to need a couple $1 billion just to get it out of the ground.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And they're tough.
So speaking of lots, should a client go out and find their dream lot and then call you, or should they bring you along for the process?
I think the most successful experiences have been when they've brought us in early, said, this is what we want to do in a house. We have 5 bedrooms. We put it all into a spreadsheet so we know exactly how big it's going to be. Then we can analyze the lot. We can look at views. We can do a quick layout. With my process, I can do a quick layout in a matter of hours to see how that wish list is going to fit on that lot. And are there going to be issues with power lines or sewer easements or drainage easements or whatever. It's amazing what things you find, why that lot is sitting there that someone shouldn't buy. Or if they do buy, you better at least know that you're dealing with something that's very unusual.
Right. And you want to know if you can have exactly what you want.
Right.
Okay, I have to ask a question that I probably should already know the answer to this. So in Paradise Valley, all the lots are supposed to be an acre or more. Is the building envelope of every lot the same percentage on every piece of land, or is the building envelope different?
It depends on the zoning. Most lots in Paradise Valley, it's 25. You can build up to 25% of the lot area. So if it's an acre lot, you can build approximately 10,000 square feet of space. But PV is very unusual that they count the overhangs on the roof. If you go second story, they count the second story, even though it's occupying the same footprint.
Oh, that's
so they
interesting.
double that up. Basements, they don't count. So we've got a lot of jobs where we're going underground because it's unlimited.
Yeah.
But anything that's covered or enclosed is counted. So it adds up really fast, especially if there's some big porches and some big overhangs. It all counts against you.
So then a guest house counts into that number too.
Counts in that number too.
Okay. But the pool and the pool decking does not count.
It's
unless
not
it's
covered.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. You know what? I should have probably known that a long time ago, but I think that's a really important thing for people to know because you're sitting on this really big lot and only being able to build 25% of it. There's a lot of land around you. And obviously that's the master plan of the community for houses to be a little bit more spread out. So what does it take to be able to build some of these ginormous homes that we're seeing? Like we're seeing things at, 20 and 30,000 square feet. So are these just huge lots?
Yeah, they're huge lots. So I've currently got one going that's 64,000 square feet. I don't even remember how big the lot is, but it was 2 lots that they combined in order to get that much square footage. That's the second house we've done that's 64,000 square feet. The other one was on like 10 acres. And it was in an area where you could build as big as they want. 64,000 square feet. Imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't even know how to approach that from a livability standpoint.
Well, the other thing we were talking about today with somebody too is everyone talks about the cost per square foot to build. No one talks about the cost per square foot to maintain.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Because that number never ends. Your cost to build ends as soon as you finish building. But the cost to maintain goes on forever.
Right.
And some of these houses take quite a bit of maintenance.
Absolutely. They have whole teams.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them even have kind of a commercial structure when you think about that actual size.
Yeah, I've done virtually a greenskeeper's building for the maintenance people on the property.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the process. So let's just say, I'm out there shopping for a lot. I'm going to get really smart. I'm going to call you before I close this sale because I'm going to have you walk lots with me.
Yep.
If we find something that day that we all love and we think's great,
it's going to work.
How long is it going to take to get a drawing, permitting? How long will it take me to be able to get a shovel in the ground?
Usually on a custom home for the average lot, not hillside, an average nice flat lot, with someone that is hiring me to be their architect, not their marriage counselor, not their psychotherapist, it's about a 9-month to a year process for us to design it. I've had some clients that I'm convinced I'm their therapist, where we were in conceptual design for 5 years.
Wow. And
just plan after plan after plan. They paid me for it, and they met every 2 weeks, and I was their psychotherapist, architect, which is great. I'm very good at it. But most people take about 9 months to a year to design. And then the permit process really depends on which jurisdiction you're in. If you're in Paradise Valley, they have gotten much quicker, where we just had a couple houses we submitted and we had a permit within 30 days. No comments, nothing.
Wow.
Which is, I have not had that happen in a long, long time. Meanwhile, we're doing a house in Pebble Beach. We are in conceptual design. We have a conceptual checklist that's 21 pages. We had to hire an entomologist, an insect scientist, an archaeologist, a historian, an arborist, just for the conceptual package.
Wow.
They think the permit itself will take about 2 years to get the permit.
Wow.
Just the permit. It'd take me a year to design, but 2 years to get a permit. So hence, you see why they have an issue over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a very, very long time, but at least here. So for people, so let's flip it now. So so now we're talking about building brand new. Let's say I'm out there looking at homes and I bump into one of these homes in Paradise Valley that was built, call it 25, 30 years ago, when not every home had an architect.
Yes.
Hashtag porte-cochere, right? You look at that and go, oh my gosh, what the heck? Why is that on there? And so if I decide, hey, you know what? This is a pretty good value because it's a pretty dated looking house. I'm gonna buy this. Would it be a good idea for me to contact you before I close the sale on that too? Because I need to know if I can turn this into what I want.
Yes. So it's easy for me to, if we have a plan, if we don't, we get a Matterport it really quick. I can do a quick sketch, usually in one meeting. And we can say, okay, and I've got a huge database from all the remodels and builds that I've done with builders. I can plug in that quick sketch into this database and it'll tell me, okay, you're going to spend about, let's just say $1.5 million to remodel this thing. If we were to just tear it down and build new, it might cost you $2.5 million, but you're going to have a brand new house with all new plumbing, all new mechanical, all new electrical, and it's a new build. Whereas the other one, you're going to put $1.5 million into it, and it's still a 30-year-old house remodel. So then you can at least make that judgment call. What's a better long-term play economically?
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of times, I'll tell you, I've gotten really good at identifying when I've tipped that scale, where I go, tear it down. You're wasting money. And I was just on the phone with my partner from Habitat. There's great write-offs. I mean, you can donate all the old cabinets, all the old windows and doors. You get a huge tax write-off. So then again, it's kind of helping you.
Yeah, I love that.
But there's a lot of jobs where if you're moving the kitchen from one part of the house to the other, you're pretty much tearing the house down because you're just spending a lot of money to move all this, and you're Swiss cheesing your slab, your structure is getting all messed up. I have done that where they go, no, we don't want to tear it down. We want to just remodel. They always come to me about 2/3 through the construction. We should have tore this down. I said, I told you.
Oh, that's so painful though, because at that point you've spent that money. So.
And you're getting a plan that you really are kind of compromised. It's not the perfect plan because it's a remodel,
Right.
Whereas you could have exactly what you want for maybe a small increment of cost more, and then everything's brand new.
Right. However, if you don't need to move the kitchen from one side of the house to the other, there are a lot of houses. So one of the things that we're kind of seeing in the world of real estate is people are in their houses. Some of them are thinking, hey, I'd really like to downsize.
Right.
However, by the time you sell that house and you downsize, you don't really downsize the price as much. Right. And so there are some people saying, you know what, I'm just going to remodel the house that I'm in. And maybe not do something so dramatic as like redo that. But, you can really, how do you talk to people about the value they can add to their house if they decide to take that house that really needs some updating and like dig in?
Well, you were just in one in Litchfield Park.
Oh,
where we just updated, we just recolorized it basically. We didn't move any walls or anything. We remodeled the kitchen a little bit, but just cabinetry. So we went from dark Tuscan to light and bright. And what a difference. I mean,
what a huge difference.
It's crazy. And now, now they love the house now again and they're happy. And I mean, for what they bought that house for and built that house for in 2006 to what it's worth now, they could afford to put a little bit of some money into that house and still be way ahead.
Right.
And they weren't moving walls, they weren't moving kitchens, so it made sense.
Yeah. Well, that was a dramatic
Change.
night today.
Night today.
Yeah,
yes.
Totally a dramatic night today. And I think that's what's really exciting, because sometimes if you've got a house that you really love, the floor plan already works for you, you generally like it. It's just that everything just needs to be,
freshened
you need
up.
A fresh face,
Yep.
that you have a remodel option as well.
Yep.
And so even in that situation, even though the house was getting recolorized, they still brought in an architect and they brought in Isabel as a designer.
Yeah.
So you were still both involved in that.
Yeah, and we brought Walter in for here and there. Because lighting makes a big difference. Because the lighting products we have now compared to what we had 20 years ago, big difference. And so just canning some of the lights with the smaller apertures and more modern look just gave it a more fresh, clean, up-to-date appearance.
Yeah, there's so much new technology in lighting too. To be able to take advantage of that is great.
Yep.
What do you feel like people are asking for? So when clients come into your office today, let's say whether they're renovating or building new, but let's say building new, what are the things that they're saying today that they weren't saying 5 years ago?
Oh, boy. Well, I'll tell you the one thing that we've seen transform more than anything are garages. And our good friend John Summer with Garage, I'll put a plug in for him. I mean, this is a car city.
Yeah.
This town is car crazy. And what we're doing in garages is just beyond belief. these days. So that's the one room that has probably changed the most in the last 5 years, I would say. Beyond that, I think just, again, I think I'm seeing a real gravitation towards comfort again. People want their home to be really comfortable, and they don't want it to look like grandma's house, but they don't want it to look like a bank. They want it to feel cozy and comfortable. So it's that whole modern mishmash of traditional and modern mixed, which is great, because then it's up to you where you park the pendulum.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really love about your designs, and I have to think about the right way to describe this, is as you walk down hallways, you look for all around the house. Look right in the hallway, and there's this little secret garden. There's a little landscape moment. And so
they're experiences.
Experiences. So that while you're walking through the house, it's not just, okay, well, there's the yard out there. It's, I put a window here so that you could look at this thing, and this is what I want to be here. And all these little gardens and little moments and fountains and seating areas and things like that around the house, it makes it feel like the house is so much bigger and so much more part of the site. But it's like, if you could just look out a window and see an inviting space, or even if there's 2 little doors and you can actually go out there, I feel like these houses feel so much bigger because of that too. And all that nature is just like artwork for the house.
Well, you said it really well, that a house, instead of a big square with a hall down the middle, we break the house into fragments. Adds surface area, it adds cost, but you're creating not only indoor rooms, but you're creating outdoor rooms. So it's exactly what you said. So you use the indoor architecture to create the outdoor architecture. So the 7,000 square foot house feels like a 12,000 square foot house, because you got all these outdoor rooms that you're not paying air conditioning or taxes for. Right. But you'll experience them. I mean, I always find myself, I'll be in my office at home, I'll be on the phone talking to someone, and when I'm done, I'm sitting in the courtyard. I don't remember how I got there. Yeah. But it's like, God, my subconscious leads me out to this beautiful spot where I'm going to be talking to this person for 20 minutes. I'm going to enjoy myself. Yeah. So it's all about those kind of experiences. Yeah. I think that's so important. What do you think is going to be next for architecture in Paradise Valley? Do you think that we're going to hit more remodels? Do you think we're going to have more new builds? Like, just intuitively based on what you're hearing from clients, nothing statistical here. I think they're just looking at the inventory. There's going to be a lot of remodel, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to just tear it down. They have the money, and they can't find a good lot, and they find a good lot with a crummy house on it, bulldoze it. And I hate to say that because it's wasteful, and that's why I love getting stuff to Habitat. At least let's make use out of as much of it as we possibly can. Yeah. But some of these houses are so poorly built. I mean, you get into them and you just go, oh my gosh, this is just they're full of termites. It's a mess, Yeah. And so what are you spending all your money on to fix termite walls? Just get rid of it and build exactly what you want, and build it with good materials that are going to last 20, 30 years. Yeah. That's the other thing I see. The houses that I did 20, 30 years ago with masonry have well withstood the test of time and wear and tear than the houses that we did with 2x8 frame. Interesting. So to me, I try to tell my clients, if you're going to live here for 10, 20 years, build it with really good materials, because it's going to hold up. Yep. And we want our homes to last 100 years, and be timeless. So just kind of wrapping this up, what is the thing that gives you the most joy on a daily basis? Well, working with people like you. Working with people like you. Yeah, it's all about the people. I mean, that's what I've learned, especially the older I get. It's like, I want to be around people that are creative, positive. I want to create homes that create positive people, you know? And so to me, it's more now about making each day, what's on my list today? Who am I spending the day with? What am I going to get out of this? What can I give back? And just make every day count, I love that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, once again, thanks for being on the pod. Yeah. Always so fun. We're going to keep this going. Love it. Let's keep going. Let's be here 20 years from now. See how 100%. See how some of these houses held up. They're going to hold up great. They're going to hold up great.
David Friedman, thanks for being here today. I'm glad to have you on the podcast. You are overseeing the offices in Carefree and up in Desert Mountain, and I understand there is a lot of business done up there. So thanks for being on the pod today.
I'm thrilled to be here. It's great to meet you in person for a change.
Yeah, it's fun to get to meet you in person too. I know so many of these names from Russ Lyon, and so now I'm getting the chance to get to meet everybody here on our podcast. So we have been super excited about that. But tell me a little bit about what it's like working in the Desert Mountain office.
So it's such an unusual place anyways, right? So Russ Lyon Sotheby's has been up there for 20 plus years. Desert Mountain is such a unique space. It's 7 golf courses. It's a private golf club. The members there are from all over the world. Yeah. And the agents are as well. So it's really interesting to be able to kind of manage, it's hard to call manager, but it's to be able to work with those advisors. So many of them have interesting pasts, just like the clients that moved there. And so it's a really unique kind of a place. I feel really privileged to be up there.
That's awesome. So it was developed by Lyle Anderson, an iconic developer in our city. And I can't remember the date, though. Do you remember when Desert Mountain got started?
It's been almost 40 years now. It was. I only moved here in 1999 from Southern California, like everyone else. And they were already established. But remember, back then it was out in the boonies, you would have called like everything here. And so anytime you went north that far, many people still say I won't go north of the 101, but it's amazing what he's built there, and that was really kind of the second. He's sort of proof of concept with Los Campaños in
New Mexico.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lost my mind.
Yeah.
In New Mexico. And what's interesting is a number of the people that started with him there are now agents with me now. Some of them were golf instructors in those original years. They followed him here. He brought them. And many of them were chefs at that point. They've done other things, and then they finally decided, hey, I love it here. I want to sell this dream.
That's really great. Well, it is such a special community. So for people who haven't been there, a couple of things. So it is very far north. However, if you love golf, it's the place to be. And I think a lot of the people that live in Desert Mountain also say that, well, why would you leave? So it doesn't matter where it is because they just live in Desert Mountain. So I feel like that's one of the things that people love about it. But when you get to that first gate, you can still drive for a little bit to get to all those different communities. It's not like you go in the gate and you get to your friend's house in like a minute. Sometimes it'll take you 15, 20 minutes to get to your friend's house, right?
It's true. It's very spread out on purpose. They're still selling lots that haven't been built on. And then, of course, a lot of the lots are to protect the views of houses that are around them, right? Someone bought them the same way. But you're absolutely right. You could come in the gate. Our office is right at that main front gate, the closest one you have. And if I were to get in my car and go up to, let's say, Chiricahua, which is about as far up, it's a good 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. There are homes closer in, plenty of them, but some of the largest estates are up there because the views are amazing.
The views are amazing.
You can see forever.
Yeah. And just like you said, there's a lot of lots that are protecting views too.
Yeah.
But really, you can get into Desert Mountain at a lot of different price points. So there's some attached product there. There's the new community around 7.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit more about kind of the range of product that's in Desert Mountain.
So you're exactly right, and you know so much about it. It's fun to talk to someone who's so familiar with it. But you're right. There's what we would consider more like, we'd call it a builder product, and they're more lock and leaves. Yeah. A lot of people are there just for the weekends, or they fly in and out. They're sold furnished. A lot of well-known people will buy those because they want to have those in several places. Yeah. So they'll come to that one and they'll go to other ones. And those nowadays, price-wise, you're probably talking about just under $2 million. Now, it sounds ridiculous to say that out loud because 7 years ago, it would have been half that price. Right? With all of the changes that occurred over everywhere, not just here. It's amazing to think that, if I want to live in Desert Mountain, I'm going to spend 1.6, 1.7, something like that. All the way up to custom home sites, custom lots. We even have some homes coming on the market. One of my agents is going to come up with something here pretty soon in the $20 million range. It's not unusual to be at 8 or 7 there. Yeah. And it almost feels like 4 to 7, 4 to 8 is becoming kind of the new normal there.
Yep. So I think we're seeing that all over the place. We're seeing this in some other country club communities as well, where we're seeing what I would really call some record-breaking prices that maybe, just like you said, 5 years ago, you know, I feel like I've said this on this podcast before, but I feel like 5 years ago, 18 was kind of the big number, right? Like you see a house at 18 million and you're like, well, that's a big one. And that was one of the most, I remember a Business Journal telling us that was one of the most expensive houses sold, however many years ago that was, not too many. And now 18 is, I wouldn't call it pedestrian by any means, but it isn't as shocking to see homes in the 20s. And 30s now, but back to this, you know, really beautiful community. Like, let's talk about why people love living there.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not a stuffy country club. People think of country club, and what I find, it's so active there. So there's, of course, pickleball. Pickleball has taken over the world, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, it's become a big thing there, too. Tennis is still big. Hiking is still big there. There's about almost 30 miles of hiking trails that you can access into the forest. It's beautiful. That's in kind of the northern borders there, and it's just amazing. Yes, the golf is such a big part of living there and part of the lifestyle, but I don't see, you know, I hate to admit it, but I rarely wear a jacket when I'm in. Most of my agents are wearing golf clothes. Most of the clients are golf or tennis. They come bopping in or out on the way in, and some of them just stop for a cup of coffee or to say hi because we're literally at the front gate. And they're there for the lifestyle. It's interesting, prior to COVID, the summers there were downright slow. You just knew it was going to be seasonal. We're a seasonal place. These folks have money. They're going to go somewhere. And it won't be here in the summer. Then COVID hit, and a lot of them couldn't go to the places they would have normally gone. They decided to stay, and they went, oh, you know, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
And then the following years, suddenly we've sort of wiped out that seasonality, even up there, which is amazing to me.
It is amazing. And, you know, it's a little bit cooler up there, too, right?
It is. Between 8 and 10 degrees cooler than, so when people quote even Scottsdale temperatures, they're usually at the airport, right?
Yeah.
And with us, it's between 8 and 10 degrees cooler, which can make a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
The storms are really interesting to see there, too.
Yeah.
We just last week had some huge storms. I was out of town, but I heard all about them.
I know. Don't you hate missing the big storms?
It never fails. I miss the big storms all the time. So we got back just afterwards. But the big haboobs don't seem to hit up there. The dust storms don't make it up there. They stay kind of in the bowl. So if you live up there and you have a good view, which many people do, you can watch them kind of roll through the valley. And it's amazing. The lightning, it looks otherworldly.
So what's the elevation, by the way, from the bottom to the top?
So you can get it's about 2,200 from the above sea level to about 3,500. So it can snow. It snows there in the wintertime. Oh, it doesn't stay. But they get some amazing weather, and the wildlife around there is amazing. So I live nearby. Yes, we do see bobcats, but everything else, it's amazing. And so we get a little camera feed all the time. The club will sometimes send us things. My own agents that live up there, those advisors will often send me pictures of, hey, David, this was on my patio this morning. I'm like, amazing. I mean, it is amazing. So you're in their territory, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous up there. And I feel like very clean air and just really nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
So back to some of the products. So
Sure.
if this podcast is really for people that love Arizona, they want to buy and sell real estate here in Arizona.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of moving to Desert Mountain, some people might think that there's not much left except resales, right? So if you want to live in Desert Mountain, what are all the things that are available to you?
There's new product being built in the newest section of it called 7. And that's a builder product, but they're significant. And they're probably in the 4 to 7 range, 4 to 8 range.
And that's Cullum Homes, right?
Brand new product, Cullum Homes. You've got, and that's it actually has its own gate as well. And Desert Mountain has just kind of grown to kind of fill that space. So there's that product all the way up to custom builds. And of course, we know all the custom home builders.
Yep.
Many of them have been working on the mountain for 20 plus years, if not longer. And they know all the special challenges, right? Because you're building on a mountain, and it's hard. It's all hard. And what I'm seeing lately is a real trend of people taking those 15, 20-year-old style homes, buying them, they're in the right location, and they are gutting them. They're turning them into the modern. They aren't necessarily, the market for a while, it felt like people were building hospitals.
Yeah.
Cold, all glass, all hard angles, all that, right? And then maybe 3 years ago, the trend started getting softening, and now we're seeing eclectic. So you've got eclectic styles up there as well, and a lot more softer contemporary, and that seems to be the direction that most people are heading when they go that direction.
Yeah.
People, when they have they want their Western White House, they've already got the Rust Belt place. They might have a place in Miami. They might have something else, but they want that desert, but they don't. It's not like the old days where they wanted Saltillo everything.
Right.
And it's just those styles are changing. And the people coming there are, to be honest with you, they're just like a younger clientele as well. Many of them are in their 40s where they weren't before.
Yep.
It was felt more like it was retiree. Well, now the trend is, no, I want a place here. I want to have a place here. Maybe even I'm only here for 8 months out of the year. I'll be somewhere else during the toughest months, or I'm traveling.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place. So you also run the office in Carefree.
Yeah.
So what's happening over there? Now that is like, I feel like that's the most Western part of Scottsdale, right?
Yeah. You know what? If I drive through the town of Carefree or Cave Creek, right? Because they're kind of associated next to each other. There's differences. Don't call them the same thing, or unless you want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm on vacation because you feel like you're in a cowboy movie.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everything from ranches to literally horse ranches there to just beautiful palaces on the hill there. And so Carefree and Cave Creek, really it's like an extension of North Scottsdale, right? But it's its own animal. You've got so many different areas where people can look, and they'll build large estates there. A lot of people with toys. I own 20 cars. Well, I'm not going to keep them in the Rust Belt. Right. This is silly. They're gonna deteriorate. So I'm gonna build a house out in the West. I'm gonna make sure that it's got space for a garage. Yes, toy barns are becoming a thing there too.
Yep.
But they may in some way want to have it all with them when they're coming here to visit.
Yep.
Bring the grandkids. Bring the family. They tend to stay here and kind of play.
A lot of people like to have their car collections with them because then they have the chance to enjoy
Huge.
them. I mean, one of the things they're not doing is driving them for the most part. But, they want to be able to see them. They want to be able to, have somebody come maintain them, have them nearby.
Yeah.
So what's nice is when you get out to Carefree and Cave Creek, you can buy larger pieces of land out there. Therefore, you can build more, less restrictions with the HOAs.
Right. There's a small airfield up there too. If you don't, that's a really beautiful little airport right there, and that serves that whole north area. I've got friends that are pilots. They love to come in and visit their houses, hang around, and then they can take off to the next location. But it's not uncommon to see 5 or 6 on a weekend coming all at the same time, just trying to get in to enjoy it. And the town of Cave Creek has so many kitschy cowboy bars too.
Yeah.
I will tell you that during the season, and even now, if I drive down the street on a Tuesday night, there's no space at the inn.
Right.
Every Harold, all those places, they are just busy. Many of them are tourists, but many of them are, someone from Gilbert coming up to visit. And there's so many places that are local hangouts there too. It's kind of fun to be in a touristy local home.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that airport up there. What's it called?
Yeah, Sky Ranch.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. There are small-ish homes around it because people that have the airplane are really interested in the hangar and that space, and they could fly in and out of it. But you don't have to live there to use that airport. It's just obviously much more convenient.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of agents that have been pilots in the past, and they've flown in and out of there. And I have a good friend of mine from my old neighborhood in California who's a pilot who knew about that before he knew anything about Carefree or Cave Creek. Oh yeah, I've flown in there a bunch of times. That's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
Can I buy a house up there? I said, yes, you can. I know somebody.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful area, and it's not so busy that you can't get in and out of there pretty easily. And it's right in the middle of everything. It's such a fun place to be. You really do feel like you're on vacation, and I feel very, very fortunate to be able to work there, call it work.
Yeah. It probably doesn't feel like work to you.
Not all the time.
Not in a golf shirt, it doesn't.
Right.
So what about, so when we talk about the country club, so there are 7 clubs.
Yeah, 7 golf courses.
At Desert Mountain.
Yep.
What is the relationship of the membership and the property ownership?
Oh, that's a great question. So you don't have to have a membership. You don't have to own a property to be a member there, which is a little unusual. However, because of everything that's happened, we still have a waiting list. Like every private club east of the 101 at this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to get a membership unless you're buying a house. Almost every membership now changes hands because of the sale of a house. You can have a lot as long as with a membership, as long as you have plans to build on it and they're already approved. Then you can move forward with your membership. But yeah, the membership they've done a really good job of keeping it as available as possible. It's been tricky. One of the things that I've noticed the membership did recently is they're allowing, if you're on the waiting list, you can have sort of a modified social membership. So instead of just being shut out for the whole time you're waiting to be admitted,
which could be a long time.
Right now they're probably quoting between 18 and 2 years at the most, which is about the longest it's been. Now you can use the restaurants. Now you can play golf. You can do some things where before they were just kind of shut out. And that's tough. The membership didn't love that either.
Right.
But yeah, there are people that live off-site. They used to live there, got a membership, sold their house, kept their membership. You could have it.
Yeah, super interesting. So one of the things that we like to talk about on this podcast is how much we like living in Arizona. And I know that is a loaded question, but this is a great place to live.
Yeah,
so you just came back from an international trip, and when your plane touched ground in Arizona, how did you feel, and why were you glad to be home?
Yeah, having come from California, Southern California, born and raised in Huntington Beach.
Okay, so that's beautiful too?
It's beautiful, absolutely. Getting around there is a little difficult now. I have a 94-year-old mother in Carlsbad and a sister in Carlsbad, so I go back fairly often and visit. But I will tell you, I'm so glad to come back. And of course, I was out of the country, but even if I just I travel a fair amount. I always love coming back here. There's so much here. And, it sounds like the travel log, but honestly, for 10 months of the year, it's pretty darn near perfect. And the other 2 months, we call it sweater weather, right?
Right.
Because why is it sweater weather? Because everywhere you go, the air conditioning's so cold, you're going to freeze. Go to a movie, go to a restaurant in August, you're going to freeze. So we call it sweater weather. No, I don't stand in the middle of the street in July, in the middle of the summer and expect to be enjoying it. That's why the pool is here.
Right.
That's why all these resorts are here. There's so much golf. There's so much hiking. You're an hour-ish from a whole different weather pattern, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, look how quickly I can be in Flagstaff or Sedona or Prescott. Totally different feel. Now you're in a mountain town.
Yeah.
You might as well be anywhere. I could be back in California at that point.
Yeah.
So Arizona is so diverse, and it's got such an amazing amount of things to do that I just can't. Every town's a foodie town. Have you noticed this?
Oh, yeah.
The last 8 years, I could go to Idaho and find good sushi.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm in Peoria.
Yeah.
You can find really, really great food and entertainment.
Good food, yeah.
And it's just amazing. So this is. I've been here since 1999. I have no interest in going anywhere else. I'm now 61 years old. Yeah, you know it. I'll be here. So it's a perfect place to be. It's always I can get everywhere from here, and I'm always happy to come back.
Yeah.
Weather's just even today. Today's a great day for weather.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, now we're having our storms, which we really love. And
Can't wait.
I was excited. So yesterday I opened up as soon as it started raining, so I'm from the Midwest. When it rains in the Midwest, you close the door, you close the windows, and you go inside. Well, my first instinct as soon as it started raining, because it actually poured yesterday, which made it an amazing day.
Yeah.
I opened up all the doors, I opened up all the windows, and I just sat right next to it, such that I could feel the rain coming. And so this is what happens in Arizona. The weather is so good that you actually enjoy like what other people would call the bad weather.
Right.
Is really cool weather for us. And I think we are really lucky to live in a wonderful place that is very easy to live with a lot of great amenities too. And just like you said, every place has its thing. And so we have summers and, that's what travel's for.
When the plane lands,
I
can always tell if it's rained recently because that smell, it's so wonderful, right? You get that rush. And you can tell creosote and the other plants that have come up. It's just one of my favorite things. get off the plane and just sniff and go, oh, I'm back home. This is great. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up with one question. So a lot of people know about Paradise Valley. So when you think about moving to Arizona, you think, okay, I'm going to move to Paradise Valley, perhaps. You see it on the Forbes list of, most expensive zip codes. Yeah. But you and I visually know what's happening up in Desert Mountain and in Carefree and in Cave Creek. I mean, incredible, very important, interesting, fascinating, successful people are up there. So I can't figure out why that zip code isn't making the list. But if somebody's weighing, do I want to live in Paradise Valley in the middle of town? Do I want to live far north up in Desert Mountain? How do you advise them?
Yeah, love, by the way. Love them both.
Yeah.
And like,
two great places to live.
I mean, there are so many other places in the world that I would not want to live versus there, right? I mean, they're just beautiful. And Paradise Valley, to me, if I wanted a large plot of land, if I wanted a 5-acre estate, if I really wanted to be spread out, Paradise Valley might grab my attention because I'm central and I'm close. If being 5 minutes from everything is important to you, then by all means, Paradise Valley and even Central Scottsdale, absolutely, that's the move. If that isn't as critical to you and you really prefer, I want to ride my bike in the mountains. I want to get close to Bartlett Lake. Then maybe I'll move up a little further. Maybe that weather, I want it a little quieter. A little quieter lifestyle. I might move a little further north where I am. And I think you find that even in North Peoria here, where North Peoria is starting to look like Scottsdale now. It's really interesting how have you noticed? I mean, with all of the development and that topography is awfully similar. And so I think I have a lot of hope for that area too. But I think it's blowing up so much. TSMC plant's blowing that up as well, right? So if I'm trying to choose between the two, it really is back to lifestyle. Do I want it a little quieter? It might take me 30 minutes. It took me 30 minutes to get here to your studio, which is much more central, right? But 30 minutes isn't that long in the desert, and it's not like I'm in traffic.
Right. I know. Thank goodness, which is so good. So when you walked in, you shared with me that you've been with Russ Lyon for 21 years, and you said that's really not that unusual for this company. So share a little bit more about that.
Gosh, the advisors that have been with this company, I have advisors in the Carefree office for 40 plus years. It's not terribly unusual. And it's an interesting place to be. Those advisors are such specialists, and we have so many just deep dive things for them to use. You talked to Mike Balzotti a fair amount. I've heard it. Who is a better advisor of how the economics are going?
Right.
Well, our agents have him available, not just for you.
And every week. Every week he's giving us info.
By the way, that's you. He's every day giving advisors information. We have a marketing director who's on it all the time. The agents tend to come and then go, oh, in fact, we just hired someone this morning for one of the other offices, and they came from another brokerage, and they were saying, oh, well, where's your stuff? Oh, just call Alexandra. She's got it. We have it all for you already. Oh, I don't have to do that? No. Do you need the economics for the next listing you're going? Yeah, it's a place where people tend to stay. Once they get there. So in many ways, just like Sotheby's in general, it's an aspirational brand. So I feel super grateful to be with this company at this time in history, and to be able to watch agents and our advisors just thrive. So they tend to stick around, and it's a career. It's not a hobby, for us. So. That might be the big difference there too. These people take it seriously. It's not something they do because they've got free time.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what you want in your advisor. Well, David, thank you so much. This has been super interesting today.
What a pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, Jennifer Schumacher, I'm super excited to welcome you to the podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it was fun. We just met just a couple weeks ago. You have an amazing, amazing property in the Southeast Valley that I had a chance to tour. And we did an Iconic Estates video for that house because I loved it so much. So tell me about where do you work across the valley?
Well, I kind of have a pretty big reach. However, I specifically try to focus in Scottsdale, Phoenix, and Paradise Valley. But I don't really discriminate, so I'll help people as long as it's not 5,000-hour drive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think you said you got started in the Southeast Valley. How did you get into real estate?
Well, that's a great topic. So I moved from Colorado. I was in the fitness industry for 21 years, and I had a terrible realtor. And I was like, wow, if you are this successful and I don't think you're very good, I feel like I could turn this into a business.
Yeah.
So that's literally what I did. I moved here not knowing one human, and I did 12 deals my first calendar year. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it worked out.
And what do you think is the secret to your success?
I think the secret is relationships. In every career that I've ever been in, I literally focus on humans, right? It doesn't matter, the dollar doesn't matter, right? It just comes. But I think when you focus on your community, they're the ones that lift you up. So if the market goes down or up, your community is lifting you up. So the number one priority for me is a relationship. So I put all my time, effort, and energy into building relationships.
That's awesome. Well, and I happen to know that your clients really enjoy working with you. So that's a great advantage. So one of the things we're talking about on the podcast today is renovation. And I know that the house that I just toured with you, which again, I loved so much, was a brand new build. But you get into renovation from time to time, don't you? How does that work if a client finds a house that they really like the location and maybe the bones of the house, but they know that, wow, this is not our house? What does that conversation look like if someone feels like, I kind of like this house, but it should be different?
Sure. So I try not to get caught up in the weeds with that, right? Because I want people to have the best location. So I always say I have a guys list. So if you want to change the cabinets, you want to change the flooring, you want to do any of that, we can do that. So let's find the location, and then we can modify the house in any way you'd like. And I think it's really helpful that I have all of the resources available for them.
Yeah.
So they can literally gut the whole place, redo everything without trying to search for somebody who's going to do a good job, because I already have those resources available to them. So I really make sure that, especially, there's not a lot of inventory in certain areas. It's like, listen, we can change the cabinets, we can change the carpet, but we can't change the location. So find the location that you're going to love, that fits your lifestyle, and then we can change the house in any way you want.
I totally agree. I feel like renovation's been a really big topic around Iconic Life lately. We've got a lot of trends that we're seeing that people are deciding not to move, and they're doing a lot of renovation, or they're buying homes that are older homes. You think about Paradise Valley, so much of it really needs to be renovated. So I feel like renovation is going to be a big topic that we're talking about for a long time. So I guess what you're saying is, don't be afraid of a house that doesn't fit every single need that you have.
Right.
You can make it your own.
1,000%, because you're not going to find the perfect house. That's just impossible. Even if you build your amazing dream home, there's always going to be something, right? So if you find something that's 80% of the way, go for it. But really what I try to help my people focus on is location, because you can't change that, right? You got to be somewhere where you love coming home to, where you love driving into the neighborhood, where you love going to the restaurants or hiking or whatever it is that your lifestyle, it sets you up for. But it's critical to find that location, and then all the other stuff you can change. Easy breezy.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to ask you a little bit about home values. So there was a time, maybe it was 15 years ago, where there was sort of a perception that if you were in Scottsdale, there was one price, but if you went to the Southeast Valley, maybe there was just a little softening of prices. It was a little bit more affordable to live out in the Southeast Valley. And I feel, I want to ask your opinion about it. I feel like that's not true anymore. The house that I just had a chance to tour was a stunning home at a significant price, worth every penny, but also a much bigger price than I was expecting to see in the Southeast Valley. Sure. So are home values just on the rise in the Southeast Valley?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. That iconic property that you saw, there's just never been anything like it, right? So I do still feel like, depending where you are in the valley, you could have the same floor plan, Toll Brothers, for example. You could have the same floor plan in Santan Valley, Scottsdale, maybe on the west side. They're all going to be different prices for sure. So I do feel like there's a difference of price depending on where you're on the valley, but the Southeast Valley is exploding. I mean, they're putting so many things out there. So more people are moving here, and, the schools are great as well. But that property that you were in it's just never been done before. I mean, there's other houses in that neighborhood that have been built like that one. They just haven't been resold yet because the people still live there. So I feel like as people are doing these huge renovations and moving into the valley, you're going to definitely start to see the Southeast Valley price per square foot go up.
And it's a super nice place to live. That's where I lived when I first moved to Arizona. And I thought the Southeast Valley was so great. It was kind of fun driving around there and just looking at how some of those neighborhoods had grown. And so I was really impressed by that. One of the things I think about is, we're at back to school time. And so people are making moves from across the country. Maybe they're coming from the Midwest. Maybe they're coming from the Northwest and looking for homes. What would you tell your potential clients about a real estate investment in Arizona? Are you feeling like the investment is holding its value?
1,000%. Yeah. So I think something came out actually yesterday where it showed, the recession-proof map of the United States. And Arizona is still in an expansion mode. In fact, Phoenix was like #1 in terms of growth, right? So I do feel like if you cut the United States in half, the western half of the U.S., we're still a very desirable place to live because we are warm and sunny and great. But we also have so much land that we have opportunities to grow these amazing cities where you don't have to drive 5,000 miles to get to a place, right? So I think we have huge opportunities here, especially with all the businesses coming. I'm also an investor myself, and I'm buying here as well. So 100%, I think it's a great investment.
Yeah, it's amazing what's happening. So many people from around the country are moving here. And for anybody who is watching the national news, I always tell them you should be watching the local news because I feel like Arizona and all of the communities that we're working in right now are just booming. There's a lot of new development happening here. There's a lot of new building happening here. There's a lot of renovating happening here. A lot of people are moving here. And so it feels like a very exciting place to live still. I mean, I would have never thought when I moved here almost 30 years ago, this would become what it is, but it's such a desirable place to be. What do you love about living in Arizona?
The sunshine, the heat. I know, some people are like, it's too hot. I love it. I live outside 12 months a year and I have this great backyard, which a lot of people do, right? That's why we live here. So I live outside 12 months a year. But also you can get anywhere from here really quickly. So if you wanted to escape the heat, you can get to California, you can get to the mountains, you can go to Rocky Point if you want to, but everything is so quick and easy to get to. And so it's just a great overall place. And I also think I moved here in 2015 and the way that the valley has grown, I remember when I first moved here and I went to downtown Phoenix, I'm like, there's nothing here. And I came from Denver, right? So, but now, there's like cool restaurants. It's such an awesome vibe. We have so many great places here. I just can't imagine living anywhere else. So it's definitely my last place that I will live for sure.
Yeah, I love it here too. Totally love it here.
The vibe is great.
It is a great vibe. And you know what? Really friendly people. And I feel like because our community is made up of people from all around the country, it makes it a very friendly place to live because you never know when your next door neighbor is, moving from someplace where you used to live. I mean, there's just a whole... it feels neighborly to me. Every single neighborhood I've lived in has kind of felt that way. If somebody's thinking about buying a piece of real estate in Arizona, what advice would you give them right now? Like this is going to air in September.
Now is the time to buy.
Yeah.
Now is the time to buy properties, right? I know people are talking about interest rates and all this stuff that's happening in the world, right?
Yeah.
But right now, the market is what it is. It's the boss. I am not the boss. The market is telling us where we are, and it's definitely the time for people to buy properties and, make good deals and buy real estate here because it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. What do they say? Bury the house and then date the rate? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So you could refinance yourself out of that if you need to.
1,000%,
Yeah.
I mean, they've been throwing us little teasers that something's going to happen, but, it's not going to stay like this forever. So definitely now is the time to buy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is a normal day like for Jennifer Schumacher?
Oh my goodness. A normal day? Well, it's real estate, so it gets derailed every day. But I wake up every morning. I'm an early riser. I go to the gym every single day. I do not miss a workout. I meditate. I journal. I usually have, maybe 2 pots of coffee a day. But then I start my day, which again gets derailed, which is why the meditation part is really important for me because I have to get centered and be happy and positive because any given Sunday, right, in real estate, your day completely derails.
Yeah.
So some days I get home at 6 and some days I get home at 10 p.m., but, it's nonstop. But I love what I do. right? And I feel like even though it is work, I get to have fun and I get to work with awesome humans, and, you know, we get to celebrate a lot too. So, but my day is pretty standard in the morning only.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have routines to be able to support people. Well, I appreciate you being on the podcast. So great. I'm so glad that we had a chance to meet a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for inspiring us and getting the word out there that now is a good time to buy a house. It is.
Yes, it is. Buy now.
Buy now. Thanks for joining me today. I sure appreciate you taking the time to join us. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you are alerted to never miss an episode. And if you'd like to join our VIP list to receive Iconic Estates newsletter, go to russlyon.com, or the link is found in the show notes. I'd be so grateful if you'd take a moment to tell us what you think by rating and reviewing this pod. Until next month, I'm Renee Dee. Thanks for joining us.